I'm Chef Don McMillan, and believe me, this recipe is going to be a killer. Hello, today we're doing chicken stir fry, and boy, have I got a great show for you today. Now, I want you to let me know if you've ever made chicken stir fry before, and please let us know in the comments, because I'd like to get back to you and even maybe answer some of your questions. Okay, so we've got some very helpful tips. Now, I'm Chef Don McMillan, and believe me, this recipe is going to be a killer. Not only that, but you can use it for so many different other types of recipes, because we've got a bonus for you, so you want to stick around to the end. Okay, so for our chicken stir fry, I'm going to have some fresh ginger, some almonds, it's also called almond chicken, obviously soy sauce, cornstarch, we have some oil for stir frying, and we've got some beautiful bell peppers here. I chose the green and the red because I like color, and that's very important because we do eat with our eyes. Onion, you know I can't cook without onions, of course. And then some chicken stock. Now, the center part is, right here, our chicken breast. I'm going to show you how to cut it up. Okay, we have here 2 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. However, this is the way it comes from the store. I want to show you how to cut it up properly. First of all, this is the part where it's connected to the rib cage. You can just see that. Sometimes there's little streaks of blood in there. And we're just going to cut that out. That's where the heart is, right over here. And of course, they didn't give you the heart, but they gave you some of the other connecting tissues. And let's just cut those out. I love just get those out of the way. If you make your own chicken stock, this would be a perfect time to save it, put it in a plastic bag, Ziploc it, and freeze it, and then make a stock at some other point. But let's just cut off some of the excess connecting tissues right here. Now, you note that I'm having it on a separate cutting board. I don't have anything in the area because of something called salmonella. And anytime you work with raw chicken, you definitely want to be cautious. Everything has to either be cooked or cleaned if it comes in contact with raw chicken. Okay, so just keeping that in mind, that's a good point to know. Now, here's our chicken breast. I'm going to cut it into strips that I'm going to use when we do our almond chicken. Now, keep in mind also that you want to hold the knife correctly. You see, most people hold it with their finger on the top part. You want to have 4 fingers on the handle and 1 on the bowl. All right, and let's cut these into strips. We are going to marinate this chicken with some soy sauce, which will give it a nice flavor as well as a nice color when we cook it. Okay, you can use other cuts of chicken if you prefer. For example, maybe the thigh meat. Thigh meat has a lot more flavor because of the fat content. And of course, you can use other types of meat. For example, maybe some pork. Or if you would like, you can also use turkey. And that works just as well. All right, let's cut this off as well. Here. Did a good job cutting that out. Let's cut this little piece off right here. And right here as well, a little connecting tissue where it connects to the rib cage. And now we'll slice this as well. I always like to use a wooden cutting board. I feel that it protects the edges of the knife, but a sharp knife is very important because remember, your 2 most important tools are right here, your hands. So you want to save those at every cost. When you're cutting up food, if you're going to stir fry, you want to keep in mind that it has to fit on a fork, or of course you can eat with chopsticks as well. But so you don't want it to be too big of pieces that it has to, you would need a knife for after it's put it on the plate. Okay, so now our chicken is cut. Place that into a bowl and we'll season that and get back to the rest of the... All right, now we're going to go ahead and season our chicken that we cut up into strips. I'm going to place some soy sauce right in there and just give it a good little stir. The soy sauce is going to give it a nice flavor, nice color. Also, because it has sodium in there, it's going to be our salt. We may want to taste it later to see if it needs a little kick up or more. And of course, I always say that if somebody wants more salt, they can always add it in later, okay? But here, our chicken is now marinated. Let me place this off to the side, and we're going to get started with the vegetables, which is very important. All right, here on our board, we've got a variety of different vegetables that we're going to put in there. This is going to make it so much flavorful. All right, so we have our scallions. I'm just going to remove the roots, place those in our little scrap bowl over here, and then I'm going to give them a dice. Now I'm going to use the white and the green, okay? And just cutting down this way. Note, when I hold my knife, 4 fingers on the handle, 1 on the bolt. I curl my fingers. I call it my monster grip, so that the knife is going to rotate on my knuckles. And I'm just going to go slice down just like this. And you'll see I'm going from the white to the green. So just give it a nice slice. You note that the point of the knife stays on the cutting board. Okay, I'm not chopping, I'm slicing. Sometimes in the back of my mind I say slice, like with a big S, slice. And then my fingers are moving back on your scallion or green onion, sometimes called green onion. And then when I get to the very back part, sometimes it's a little bit dark there, and I just let that go. Now, here's our green onion. This is going to be our garnish, and as you already know, whenever I do a garnish, it's going to have to be 100% edible and also flavorful. This is going to add flavor and beauty to our final dish. So let's put this off to the side, and we'll get back with that at the end of the meal. Now, look at this. I've got some beautiful color with green, red, and onions. And you know I can't cook without onions, so we're going to have to use those. Today we're going to show you how to slice an onion, okay? So I remove the flower part and then the root part. I'm going to slice it in half right there at the center and remove the outside 1 or 2 layers of onion skin. And then I'm going to slice the onion, and I want to show you a little key that you can see. First of all, I'm going to remove the root because I don't need to hold the onion together. I want it to come apart. So there's the root part there and a little bit right here. Okay, that goes off. Now, you see where the onion lines are going in this direction? We're just going to slice in that direction. We don't have to follow the curvature, just slice down like this. And you'll see what happens to the onion. It just comes apart like that, and so it's kind of called a julienne. You sometimes hear that as well. Now when you get to this end piece, you can't hold it with your fingers. Just flip it over like that and cut this way. So there's our onions ready to go in the wok in a minute, but let's get the rest of the vegetables ready. So with my peppers, I'll cut through the crown, and then I'll remove the center part by just going from the inside out. Take that out. Place 2 fingers inside your pepper and remove the seeds. And then I'm going to cut off the bottom part, and then as you can see, it's got the ribs in there. So what I usually do is cut those out too. Sometimes they're a little bit chewy, and I just don't want that effect in there. Now, let's get our red pepper ready as well. These are bell peppers. They're not very spicy, but if you do like chilies, I would say you can add them in at this time. We're not doing that, but that's your call. Again, remove the seeds out. Cut off the bottom part, and then we'll cut out those ribs that are right in there. Okay, so now I'm going to take this part of the pepper and we're just going to slice right through. Now, did you see I'm cutting it from the inside out? And the reason I'm doing that is that the peppers have a food wax on them. They do that at the supermarket, and because of that, I want to get an easier cut. When I cut from the inside out, it's porous and it just grabs my knife. So if I try to cut from the outside, you can just see I had to put a little bit more pressure down like that. So just turning it like this, and then I have an easier go at it. Okay. You can use other colored peppers if you will. Yellow peppers, purple peppers, brown peppers. Just think about how it's going to look on the final appeal, because that's very important that you can do that, okay? And you're making food that people are going to eat with their eyes first, and then of course it's going to smell good, and then of course it's going to taste good. We're handling all the senses here, folks, okay? Now, peppers and onions. This little tricky ingredient, okay? It's called ginger. I don't want the peel on there, and instead of using a knife or even a vegetable peeler, I'm going to use a spoon. And to do that, I turn the spoon this way, upside down, with my thumb on the back of the bowl, and I'm just going to go down like that. And look how easy the ginger peel comes off. And ginger, as you probably know when you buy it in the store, is not cheap. So this will only take off the skin part that you don't want and leave on the rest of it that you do want. Now if you buy too much ginger, I suggest that you do this. Instead of letting it go bad and throwing it out, you just put it in a Ziploc bag and put it in your freezer, and it will stay at the potent level you desire. The only thing is when you do thaw it out, it'll get a little bit soggy, but it won't affect the flavor. So you can use frozen ginger as well. But fresh ginger is much different than using dried ginger. Dried ginger is used prominently in baking. So it does have a different flavor, and I suggest whenever the recipe calls for fresh, that's what you use. Alright, get all that peel off of there. Sometimes when you're using ginger in cooking and you just want to marinate it and you're not going to use it in the food, you could leave the skin on if you wish. Okay, so let's get rid of this. This is ginger peeling, and now we're going to grate our ginger. This is called a ginger grater, and it works very simply by just going back and forth like this, and it takes the ginger and it makes it into like a pulp, which would be easier to cook with. Instead of eating a big piece of ginger, you could actually have the ginger flavor and it dissolves into your food. Now we're going to use probably about a teaspoonful, but we'll grate maybe just a little bit more. You'll get a little bit of strings, and you can throw those away because this is kind of a stringy type of cooking ingredient, but it has a lot of great flavor in there, so it's not one to leave out. Okay, now we're ready to start cooking. I know that because the smells are just going to hit you right in the face. I've got my wok. I let it get hot. You see a little bit of heat coming from it. We're going to add some oil. Move it around a little bit. And I'm going to take my almonds and go ahead and toast them a little bit. The reason why I toast the almonds is because I want to bring out the flavor. Remember, I always tell you this, everything we do is about the flavor. And that's what we're about. We are about the flavor. So let's go ahead and toast these almonds. About a minute maybe. And remember, when you're cooking with a wok, you always want to be cooking on high. So get that heat up there, okay? This is why it's called stir frying. The sides of the wok get hot as well. So as you're cooking all around. You gotta keep moving, you gotta keep stir frying. You can't turn it on and forget it. I'm telling you, if you do that, it's going to really be a disaster. Okay, now I can just see that these almonds are starting to bubble, which is what I'm trying to get them to do. And so at this point, I'm going to take them out and place them into a bowl. And then we're going to go ahead and cook our rest of our vegetables up. Okay, here we go with the vegetables. Stir frying. So we have onions, peppers, and as we're cooking them, the sugar is going to come out. It's going to be very flavorful, and they're going to get a nice brown. And in stir frying, you don't want to cook your vegetables all the way, okay? You just want to cook it enough that they're nice, I call it crisp tender. And as these vegetables are cooking, I'm going to go ahead and add in my ginger. Give it another flavor enhancer. I didn't add the ginger in too early because I didn't want it to like burn. At this point now, our vegetables are just about ready to come out. I just want a nice little color on them. The sugar is coming out of the onions. The sugar is coming out of the peppers, and it's just being so happy in there. Okay, so now I'm going to remove them from the pan, and then we're going to cook our chicken. You can see it's a very quick process, so you don't want to walk away. And to this, now we're going to add in some more oil. Move it around a little bit. And then we have here our chicken. It's already been marinating a little bit with the soy sauce. Let's place it into our wok. And we're going to cook the chicken. We're waiting for the chicken to firm up and also to turn white. Just a little bit more. I can just see now the pink is coming out of the chicken. It's firming up. And also, as I said earlier, it's going to turn white. About less than a minute more, and we'll be ready to add in the rest of our flavors. Okay, so now we're going to add in the vegetables. So let's go ahead and place those right into our wok. Cook them just a little bit more with the chicken. See how the color is added now? That's why I chose those particular peppers, to give it a wonderful color effect. And we'll let that cook together and get happy. Meanwhile, I'd like for you to see how I'm going to add in the chicken stock. So I have right here some chicken stock. I'm going to place in a little bit of cornstarch. Place that right into the bowl. I have a whisk that I'm going to whisk around. And sometimes when you can't get to the bottom, I'm going to show you a little trick. You can just go back and forth like this. My mother used to have one of those beaters that you just crank around like that, and this kind of duplicates it. Alright, let's see how we're doing over here with our chicken. Oh man, looking good. Smelling good too. Alright, let's add back in those toasted almonds that we did earlier. Get them into the dish. And then finally, we're going to add in our cornstarch and chicken stock. Now this will come bubbling, and before you know it, it'll actually thicken up, and our dish will be complete. Okay, our stir fry is just about ready, but you know you always have to taste it, and trust me, you don't want to, trust a chef that doesn't taste their own food, right? So I'm going to taste mine just to be sure I've got it seasoned just right. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. It does need a little more soy sauce, and it's always good to check that way. So let's go ahead and add some more soy sauce into it. This will add the sodium, a little bit more color, but even more importantly, a lot of flavor. And that's, as I said earlier, what we're all about. So let's plate up this wonderful dish. And here, see how pretty it looks? If you don't like almonds, use cashews, okay? It works just as well. And other types of nuts, so this is even more if you're not nuts about nuts, right? I am. I love nuts, but maybe because I am. I've been told that before. All right, now, oh, look at that little spill there. Let's clean that up, okay? It looks really nice. I'm gonna place this on top. Wow, that's so beautiful. Now you have to subscribe. And if you want to, please like this video and let me know if you have any comments, because I'd like to give you a personal thank you. I want to respond to all of that. And this is going to be just a perfect dish. I call it almond chicken. It's also chicken stir fry. It is so good. And of course, if you have any questions, let me know as well, because that's very important. And I told you to stick around to the end, because we're going to turn this delicious dish into, guess what? Chicken fried rice. Yes! And you know what? It's going to be simple and delicious.